Hello, and welcome. Good afternoon, and welcome to day 2 of Summer Shape Up Challenge. Yay! So I am looking forward to hearing some feedback and some comments on how things are going. I am super excited to go live. I'm just excited about the positive feedback that I've been receiving, so I cannot wait to hear more about today. And so while people are joining on, I'll do just a quick introduction of myself, and my name is Sandra Goltree, and I'm a dietitian for both men and women, and I want to welcome you to day 2 of Summer Shape Up, a 3-day clean eating challenge with powerhouse breakfast smoothies. And so give me 1 second, and I am going to set up my window so that I am able to respond to you all. Here we go. So everything is already here. So as you post comments, I'm able to respond and see everything. And so while people are joining on, please just, give me a shout out. Let me know who you are, where you're tuning in from, and how things are going so far. And so I wanted to kick things off with a case study. Let's see here. And it'll be a good idea. Let me put this in the chat. And so you guys can actually follow along with her story as I read about her story, which is pretty powerful. Let's see here. Make sure that's sent. I think it's sent. Let's see here. Yes, it did. Nope, no, it didn't. There it is. Now it's sent. Okay, so now you guys can see that. And so here is, and first and foremost, I want to express to everyone that you are more than capable of being successful at conquering your biggest challenges and fears regarding your health and your weight. Okay, and so a case in point, here's a good example. Her name is Clementine. And we call her Clem for short. And she was struggling with stress eating and sugar cravings. And she also had a very stressful job. And food was her way to cope with stress. And she wanted comfort food, like whether chocolate was her favorite. And after a long work day of overeating, she felt guilty. And she would try to exercise her way out of those bad habits to make it all go away. And she knew that she needed help. And the number on the scale was foreign to her when she went to her doctor, and her primary doctors had a concern, and she had gotten tagged with obesity on her chart. So that just means her BMI was in that range of obesity. So that just means that she was at a higher risk. But if you look at her before pictures, that's not, when we say obesity, she does not appear that, right? But for her height, her weight, etc., that she was, okay? And so it was just really more of a health risk, okay? Higher health risk. And together, we worked to refocus her role that food played in her life. We tweaked her eating pattern to make meals more satisfying, more filling. We talked about how to balance eating out with her day-to-day routine to where it wasn't hindering her weight loss. And so in 4 months, she went from 185, which is what you see in the first picture, to 163, which is about 22 pounds. And she no longer looked to food for comfort, to pass the time. She didn't have the cravings, and she was able to understand that there was no food that was just off limits. So that gave her a big sigh of relief. And so during those 4 months, she traveled, she ate out, she dealt with all the things that were going on during that particular time. And so I posted her URL. Definitely check it out. And the last time that I checked with her, she actually had lost 27 pounds. So she continues to maintain that, which is very wonderful. So to me, the bigger testimony is that she's maintaining it during such major life changes. She went back home, moved back up north. She had a new job. She's now married. And so whole new life. And that's wonderful that she was able to get healthy and get into that dress that I know she dreamed of. And so that was really wonderful, a wonderful blessing. And so the same results are more than possible for yourself. So the fact that you're a part of this challenge speaks volumes to that. So simply put, if you have the desire, it's going to happen. So here is the breakdown for today. So we're going to recap yesterday a little bit. I'm also going to address any questions, concerns, anything of that nature. And then we're going to go into today's topic. And then we'll shift back to the guidebook and we'll look at the meals for the rest of the day, the remaining of the day, and then leading up to breakfast tomorrow. And then I will wrap up with some next steps. Okay. So thumbs up if you are ready to jump in. And so you're going to want to stay to the end because you'll want to hear about a special opportunity, especially for those who want to take a deeper dive with me and to gain more insight on how to end the yo-yo dieting, of losing weight, gaining weight, etc., building a healthier relationship with food. That is probably the biggest number one, is just having that healthy relationship with food and realizing that food is place is just to nourish our body, is not to cope with any of life's issues. And so that's once we conquer that, then we are good. Getting back to your old self, being full of life and enjoying going out, having more energy, and being able to focus throughout the day and not wanting to take a nap like in the middle of the day. And continue to lose weight during those summer months. Okay. So here is a sneak peek of what you can, of where you can go just in case you have to jump off. And I'm going to put this in the chat as well. Okay. All right, so that's in the chat just as well, just in case. But I'm going to give more details on this as we get a little bit later. So a recap of yesterday. So a quick review of the topics that we went over yesterday, which was day 1, training. So your morning energy blaster, the one thing that you can do to boost your metabolism and to jumpstart your weight loss. And so in a nutshell, the one thing that you can do to boost your metabolism and to jumpstart your weight loss is to eat an adequate and balanced breakfast every single day. And I usually say coffee with or without fruit is not the balanced breakfast that we're seeking. And so one goal of having breakfast is to provide that energy at the start of your day without depending on false energy from sugar and caffeine. And then we talk about what I call the crash and burn effect, which usually happens around 3, 4-ish. And the domino effect just continues because people are so hungry by the time they get off of work that they don't even make it home. They hit the drive-through or they call out for takeout. A lot of times because they just don't have anything prepared at the house and no groceries, nothing to that regard. So it just makes eating out you're more vulnerable to doing that. And then that happens on a regular basis. So and we talk about the basic formula of breakfast, where we pair carbs with protein and healthy fats. All those are very important to meet our macros and to give the body what it needs throughout the day. And then I always say, enjoy your mojo for the taste and depend on your eating, your adequate sleep, as well as exercise for sustainable energy. Okay, that's what you want to depend on. And so listen to the replay and check that out. So good information there. And so any questions or comments, do not hesitate to jump on to post. And so today's topic, we're going to talk about your clean way to eating. What does that mean exactly? Your clean way to eating. So what is that? What is it not? And how does that help you to catapult your metabolism and your energy? Okay. You have probably heard of clean eating, but you may not know exactly what that is and how to go about cleaning up your diet, so to speak. And so clean eating is a broad term that everyone looks at it a bit differently. And so today we're going to discuss what clean eating really means and 6 tips to help you to get started with clean eating. Okay. And so to jump in and to get things started, let's see here. All right. So I always like to ask, so when you hear clean eating, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? So just kind of post some of the topics or some of the things that first come to your mind when you hear clean eating. Okay. And some popular ones are, yes, deprivation, not having what you want to have, maybe not enough taste, not flavorful, things like that. So very common. And so that is what we want to discuss to kind of dispel some of those myths about clean eating. And so what is clean eating? So what clean eating is not. So let's talk about what it is not. It is not a fad diet. It's not a cleanse or detox. That's very common. It's not about what you can or cannot eat. Okay. It's not about counting calories, eliminating carbs, or eating, soup all day, things like that. It's not about starving or deprivation or restricting. Okay. So hopefully that is good news for everybody. That's not what clean eating is about. Okay. It is about 2 key points. Okay. And so clean eating is about two key points. One, being mindful of the origin of your food and ensuring that it is close to its natural state as possible. Okay, that's one. Okay, then number two, it is also about consuming a ton of whole foods, such as a variety of whole foods, such as the fruits and the vegetables, the nuts and seeds, beans and fish, low fat, fat free dairy products, seafood, clean meats in a way that you enjoy it. So that does not mean tasteless. Does not mean you shouldn't have your favorites or your native foods. That's far from what this is about. And then another point is to eat more of the best and healthiest options in each food group and less of the not so healthy ones. So we have 5 food groups. We also have healthy fats. We want to make sure that, and there's a ton of foods under each of the food groups that provide the body what it needs. And so it's good to have that variety so you're not eating the same things over and over and over again. And that's important because we get bored, right? And so some eating plans call for eliminating a lot of food groups, like they'll say dairy or grains or even coffee, or even that's not a food group, but sometimes you'll hear that as far as some ways to quote unquote eat clean, but that is not what the true definition of eating clean is. And so I don't believe that being restrictive is going to solve the problem in the long run. I mean, it does. Some people are able to do it in the short term, but it doesn't really last long term. And so not only do you take away some of the enjoyment of eating, but it isn't much science that backs that up. Okay, so everything in moderation, even things that are considered quote unquote healthy, and you still need to have that in moderation. Okay, even vegetables. I always tell people that, as that kind of surprises people when I say that. So you need to find a clean eating style that works for you. Okay, so while you're enjoying everything that you're eating, so you want to be able to enjoy your food. And so let me ask you this. So share how you felt after day 1. So after following day 1 of the challenge, such as, did you feel less bloated? That's a very common one, feeling less bloated. They felt lighter. So usually when I hear that, that means they're feeling less bloated. And that stems from maybe eating out or eating a lot of highly processed foods over a period of time. You feel that bloat. More rested? Do you feel less sluggish? Do you have more energy? Do you feel better overall? Anything, or simple as, I did it. I made it through day 1. I've never done a challenge like this before, and I actually made it through day 1, and you weren't starving and you weren't miserable. So that is victory as well. Okay. All right. So let's go on to the next part here. Your way to clean eating. The first 3 tips. Okay. So number 1, load up on fruits and vegetables. So I think we know the obvious benefits of fruits and vegetables, such as lowering blood pressure, diabetes control, heart disease control, cancer, gut and immune system health. So we know those, but I want to share these alarming statistics that you may not know. And so around 76% of Americans don't eat enough fruits each day. Okay, and a whopping 87% are not eating enough of their vegetables per day. So those are very, very high numbers. And if they are eating them, they may not be eating enough of them. Okay, so we want to make sure we're eating enough of both of those food groups in order for the body to benefit, for you to get the nutrients that they provide. Okay, and then 2, go whole grain. So with whole grains comes more fiber, antioxidants, and anti-inflammatory fighting phytonutrients. Plus, people who eat more grains tend to have time or easier time losing weight and keeping it off. Okay, 1, because they're not depriving themselves. So understanding because grains are a form of a carb, and typically people cut those out. And they have its place, and they have a very important place in a healthy eating pattern and to be able to have longer term success. And so the cleanest grains are the ones that have been touched the least by processing. So think whole grains that look more like they've just been harvested in this harvest state, like quinoa or wild rice or oats or things like that. Honestly, though, it's unrealistic to abstain from eating any processed grain. So minimally processed foods such as like whole wheat pasta or whole wheat or whole grain breads made with simple ingredients are a part of a clean eating pattern. And so I did a whole Facebook Live on processed foods, and is it bad for you? What does it mean? And so everything is not that's in a box and in a bag or not considered bad for you. Okay, so you have to watch marketing, because marketing can kind of trump you up and have you going in the wrong direction. So, and never forget, eating is also for enjoyment. Okay, so you don't want to cut out nothing unless you truly are ready to part with it. Okay, if you're not ready to part with it, there's a place for it. Okay, just understand, that's where dietitians come in to help you understand where that place is. So eat less protein. A lot of people, especially I'm noticing in my younger clients in 20s and 30s, it's like if the label needs to have protein this, protein that, protein, and they think that's where to go. And so more and more research suggests cutting back on meat is healthier for you and the planet. So, but going vegan is not required, not required at all. I am not that. And so for clean eating, though, just eating less protein can help reduce your blood pressure, reduce your risk of heart disease, and help you to keep your weight in check, as well as all the other side effects that you may get from overdoing it. Because a lot of times when people eat a lot of meat, they don't eat a lot of vegetables, and they don't eat a lot of fruits, and they don't eat a lot of whole grains. So that's usually, a lot of times people don't realize that. They're eating just the meat, and they're not eating a lot of other things that they need to eat. And they're not eating the leanest cuts either. So, plus, eating more plants helps to bump up the fiber, healthy fats, and vitamins and minerals in your diet. So most Americans get much more than the recommended amount needed for protein. Okay, most people. Okay, and so it's time to do a poll. So reply either fruits, vegetables, whole grain, or less protein. So there's two ways to post. So what is a good next step or good first step for you? Okay. For those who are brand new, what is a first step for you? Is it fruits and vegetables? Is it whole grains, or is it lowering your protein? That was one thing I had to do when I started cleaning up my eating pattern back in my 30s. So where's your first step for you if you're brand new to this? Okay, now let's say you're a little more seasoned. This is the next step. You've been doing this for a while, but maybe kind of up and down. So where do you need to maybe, I used to eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, but I cut it off. Or maybe I used to eat whole grains, but I followed the diet and I cut it all out. Or I need to lower protein. So where's something that maybe you need to kind of get back on that bandwagon, okay? And so a way to add fruits and vegetables, add them at snacks, add them at meals, okay? You have raw, you have cooked, you have salads, you have plenty of ways to do it. Some people prefer to have them in a smoothie, juicing them. That is perfectly fine, especially if that's the only way you're going to get your vegetables in, but that's not a meal by itself. So we need to make sure that if it's serving as a means just to get the vegetables in, but we're adding other things to it, then that's great. And then whole grains, adding grains. Typically adding grains are cut out of diet. So we want to add the breads and the pastas and the rice and the potatoes and the corn, all the things that typically are cut out, but understanding what a portion size is. And that's what people typically don't understand, and how much of it do you need for your body and for your body needs. That's what the key is, that the diets typically will miss the mark. And protein, less primarily if your eating pattern is mainly vegetables and protein at a meal. Okay, typically it's too much when that is all you're eating, because what's being promoted, it makes you feel fuller and satiety, but you're better off getting full by having all your macros in place. Okay, and then less processed. So you want to purchase foods that have the shorter the ingredient list, the less processed. However, you have to still understand how to read labels, because sometimes you'll see a lot of things on the label and it's not necessarily a negative information or means that that's highly processed. It could be vitamins and minerals and things that they're adding to actually enrich the food to give it more nutrients. So it always depends. So a long list doesn't always mean that it's just so highly processed. So again, I did a whole live on that. So it's a spectrum of minimally processed versus ultra processed. So let's talk about the 3-day challenge. So I mentioned yesterday that some people may get everything that they need from just this 3-day journey, and that is great. That is wonderful. Some people just need a boost, but many people realize that they need more help and they need more personalized help. And that's where, in breaking those habits and improving your diet and your eating patterns are not easy, and not just breaking the habit, but being able to integrate that into life. unexpected, already overwhelmed, already hectic life. Okay. And that's where people really struggle. And that's really where a dietitian comes in, because it's not just about food. Food is easy, but there are many precursors that impact food choices and what we eat, when we eat, if we eat. And so that's really where we need to focus on. And that's what makes, this is why the yo-yo cycling happens, because it's the mindset. It's looking at life differently and setting priorities differently, and not choosing one thing over the other. Meaning choosing something else over your health, or something else over if you're going to cook, or something else, so that's what we want to figure out, how we integrate the two, so you're not having to choose. Okay. And so, although fad diets offer a quick fix, they're often unhealthy, and they deprive the body of the nutrients and the calories that it needs. And so it leads people to return to unhealthy habits, or they go back to what they know. That's one thing with diets. They don't really teach you how to eat. They just teach you how to restrict, and they teach you how to cut back. But they're not really giving you the education on how to eat, okay, in different situations. And so, been there, done that. Been there, done that. If you have yo-yo dieted over and over and over again, I know people who have spent thousands of dollars over the course of years on diets, okay, and unfortunately, it failed them, and so that's the unfortunate part. So remember, weight loss is not a one-size-fits-all. To have success, it's important that you find a plan that works for you and that fits well into your lifestyle, and that is designed to fit into different lifestyles. And this requires a level of personalization, okay? And so in the long-term weight loss, it's not about an all or nothing process either. So let's work together to teach you what getting back on track really, really, really means with building healthy eating habits, so that you are able to ignite your energy levels with mental clarity, okay? Why? As humans, we're not built to go at it alone. We need help. I remember I needed help to lose my 25 pounds in 3 months. And I needed help changing my eating patterns. And that's what inspired me to go back to school, so that I can help others, but have the credentials along with the experience to back it up. And so we all need help with gaining control over emotional eating and stress eating. We need to end the confusion of what to eat and how much to eat for what our body needs. Okay. There's no one size fit all. There's no one diet that's going to fit your specific needs, medical needs, etc. So find balances of eating for weight loss. Okay. And for nutrition and for fun. Okay. It's all of that. And that's what makes this work long term. How does all this happen? I'm offering a no-cost 60-minute back on track session with complimentary 60-minute phone session, where we are going to talk about your personalized keys to weight loss success. So I'm looking for 12 highly committed people. I don't typically offer standalone sessions in my practice anymore, but if I did, it would cost $125 for that one session. And so in your private complimentary session, we were going to talk about a very crystal clear vision of your particular nutrition path, your weight loss path, your health goal path. And we will uncover any hidden obstacles or any unconscious patterns, behaviors that may be sabotaging your success that you're totally unaware of. And it's all about building healthier eating habits, losing weight, and even more important than losing the weight, keeping it off. But we want to address the total body. So when we're addressing the total body, for me, weight loss is a byproduct that's just going to happen, okay, if that's what your body needs. And so you'll leave the session not only inspired, but with personalized, tangible next steps, meaning things that you can hit the ground running with right then and there. That's going to catapult your weight loss and your health goals. And so all you have to do is click the link that I have provided, and I'm going to put that on the screen as well, and it's in the chat, where you can learn more. All you have to do is click the link. You get on my calendar, you fill out the application, and it's as easy as that, okay? And I'm going to review the applications, and you will get notified of being one of the lucky 12. All right, so let's keep moving. If there are any questions or comments or anything, do not hesitate to ask me, okay? And so your way to clean eating, the last 3 tips, okay? So this will go quick. So watch out for processed foods. Number 4, you want to watch out for processed foods. So the truth of the matter is everything is processed, I tell people. I talked about the spectrum from minimally processed to such as the bagged spinach, to highly processed like the chips or the blue colored candy sugar, cereal. And so everything is processed. Unless you are pulling it out of the ground, it has some level of processing. Okay. So all processing is not bad. It's just a matter of where you are in the spectrum. Number 5, limit added sugar. Okay. So many people eat too much added sugar, but there's a way to do that, because you don't have to eliminate all added sugar. It's very difficult to do that unless you are living on the farm and harvesting everything. But the AHA suggests, which is the American Heart Association suggests an added sugar limit of no more than 100 calories per day. And so this is about 6 teaspoons or 24 grams of sugar for most women, and no more than about 150 calories or about 9 teaspoons or 36 grams of sugar for most men. Now, there's no nutritional need or benefit that comes from eating added sugar. It's for fun. But should you ever not eat a cookie or ice cream? Absolutely not. It's strictly for enjoyment. But the best way to clean up excess sugar is to look at foods without sugar as an ingredient. And so, or make sure that that the sugar is listed towards the bottom, which means that it has less weight per serving. Okay. So, but then also it's about being educated on how to read labels, because a lot of people cut out foods because they think it has a lot of added sugar, such as dried fruits, such as yogurt. And so there are things that you shouldn't cut out. You just got to know which type to buy, which type of yogurt to buy, which type of dried fruit to buy, because it's not added sugar. Or they don't buy 100% fruit juice, not to be confused with fruit juice or cocktail juice, but 100% fruit juice, because they think it has a lot of added sugar. And that's not the case. There's no added sugar when it's 100%. So that's where education comes in. That's where dietitians come in. And that's where diets differ, because they're not telling you those things. They're just saying, don't drink juice. Okay, don't have dry fruit, which that's not the answer, because dry fruit is it's a superhouse food for potassium and a lot of other minerals, vitamin C, depending on what the dry fruit is. So you might be turning away things that you don't need to. Number 6, keep an eye on sodium. Okay, sodium, just like sugar, most of us are getting this is probably more the culprit. This is really more the culprit than sugar, because when you're eating out and doing takeout and not really preparing the foods on your own, that's the hit. Okay, most restaurants will make things with less sugar, unless it's a dessert, but the sodium is usually the cost. Okay. And the Institute of Medicine recommends capping at around 3,400 milligrams daily, which is about 1 teaspoon for healthy individuals. Okay. But there are some easy tips to reduce your intake. Okay. 80% of the sodium that's coming from our diets is from convenience foods rather than cooking. So it's not about what you cook, because a lot of people say, oh, I don't cook with salt. But it's not about that. It's more about the convenience foods, eating out. Okay, the packaged foods that are on the ultra side of the processing spectrum. Okay, so cutting back on processed foods will help you to reduce your salt intake. And watching cured meats and a lot of when I say convenience foods, things that you don't have to cook, it's already packaged up for you. It's already ready to go, versus you making that lunchable, buying lower sodium deli meat and producing your own whole grain crackers. You buy it already packaged. Well, the crackers are not whole grain, and the deli meat is super high in sodium and fat, so it's a lot there. And so we want to cut back on that stuff. Reading labels, okay, and reading labels and knowing how to read it and know what's marketing and know what's actual nutrition information. And that's what dietitians will bring to the table for you. All right. We're bringing this thing on home. So again, 2 ways to post. If this is your first time taking a stab at this clean eating, what do you need to, where's a good starting place from you? Processed foods, eating out less, okay? Cut it down, 1 to 2 meals a week, cut it down. If you're eating out every day, at least 1 meal a day, that's way too much. Added sugar, think about that. Think about the type of cereal you're eating, if you're eating it, or the type of snack food you're snacking on, and less sodium. So think about the convenience foods potentially, okay? And if this is a next step for you, you mean you've been doing this for a while, but maybe you fell off, where do you feel like you need to pick up the most, okay? All righty. And let's see here. Taking this thing on home, the takeaway message. So clean eating is just a way that lends itself to improving one's health and well-being, really. And so clean eating involves a few key principles. So you want to eat more whole foods. You want to eat for nourishment. I say the 80-20 rule, okay? Because eating is for fun. You're not going to eat like perfect all the time. You want to eat more plant-based. That does not mean become vegan. That does not mean cut out carbs. That does not mean just want to. Plant-based should be your cornerstone, and then you build the protein and everything else and the fats around that. Clean up your act. I call this self-care. Adopt a cleaner lifestyle by getting plenty of physical activity during the day, getting adequate rest at night, every night, managing your stress. Don't stress about things that you have zero control over. That's usually what we stress about, or stress about things that happen every single day. Why are we stressing about stuff that's happened every day for the past 10 years? But we do. Connect with people that you enjoy, that keep you uplifted, okay? Have a prayer partner. That's important. All righty, next on the agenda, discuss the guidebook. So we're going to discuss the guidebook and the meal plan. We're going to talk about the remaining meals of the day. And so a friendly reminder, the guidebook has more details about each recipe and the substitutions and some good practices throughout the challenge that I'll remind you of is have your smoothie within 2 hours of waking up. Try not to have no more than 4 hours between your main meals. Have your snack around 3-4-ish, okay, time frame. That's your bridge between lunch and dinner. Very important. Even if you don't feel hungry, trust me, you're not stuffed. So you can save yourself from feeling starving later. And then your evening snack, you can have it as is or as a dessert. Let me see here. What is the snack? Okay, well, today the snack is the hummus. So I typically would say have that in the middle of your day, just so you can have that top off before you have dinner. And don't skip your snacks. Okay, a lot of times people give snacks and then it's a negative connotation with the name of snacks, but snacks have its purpose. They're bridges between meals so that you're not allowing yourself to get too hungry, as well as getting the nutrients that your body needs. Okay. And so today was the berry avocado smoothie. So what were your thoughts on that? What was the verdict on that? Did you like it? Was it yummy? Did it hold you for 4 hours? Were you shocked that the smoothie lasted as long as it did? And this is a powerhouse smoothie. As you see, we have vegetables in there. We have cauliflower and zucchini. I like to buy the zucchini fresh, chop it up, put them in the freezer, so ready to go. You had your fruit, which is also a carb. You had your frozen berries. You had your heart-healthy fats with avocado and the chia seeds. You had your carbs as well as protein from the low-fat dairy or soy milk, or lactose-free milk. Then you had the protein from the protein powder, okay? And so powerhouse, a meal, all right? And so let's see, hit, okay, or miss. So rate the peanut Thai noodles, okay? What's your lunch assessment, okay? It was dinner last night, lunch today. So what was your assessment of that? If you had lunch, and if you haven't, let me know later. And again, like I said, you can warm that up. The way it's prepared, it is like a cold dish, but you can definitely warm it up. I prefer mine warmed up. Okay, so hopefully you enjoyed today's having leftovers. You didn't have to do anything. Okay, you didn't have to do anything. And dinner today is pretty easy. So let's talk about, let's see here. Well, how did you eat it? It'll be good to know if you prefer it cold, if you prefer it hot. And so your upcoming meals, the mango chickpea salad with grilled chicken kebab. Okay, so very easy dinner. If you don't have tahini, you can use any type of nut seed butter, like peanut butter, almond butter, sunflower seed butter. You can do the kebab. If you don't have a grill, which is myself, where I'm not going to go out there and do it, I'm going to put it in the oven. So you would cook it at 400 until thoroughly cooked. So you don't have to do the kebab. If you do, it's about an 8.5-inch kebab stick if you have those at home. So you can make it fun, right, if you have it at home. And so this concludes what I have for today. And if there are any final questions or comments, please feel free to update in the thread here. Do not hesitate. Tomorrow, day 3, we're going to talk about stinking thinking. Okay, we're going to talk about how to stop the all or nothing approach to weight loss and to finally keep it off once and for all. So this is a very timely and pertinent and real life topic, because we all have that all or nothing. When we want to hit it, we want to hit it all in, and we feel like we're not all in, we shouldn't even start. And so we want to definitely talk that and dispel and talk about how that is harmful. All right. It's a reminder to sign up and get your complimentary 60-minute session with me so that we can take things to another level to really get you the information that you need that's going to work best for you. Okay. So I hope you had a great day, had a great time. I hope you enjoyed this session, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Bye-bye.